That's not your essay. You're not even white. A sudden silence crashes over the room, as if someone cut the air out of it. 18-year-old Nyala stands alone at the front of the lecture hall, a single black girl facing a wall of indifferent faces. Dozens of students, most of them white, slouched back in rows of tired plastic chairs, eyes hungry for drama, boredom, crackling into excitement. Professor Whitridge's words hang between them, an accusation, a threat, a dare. Prove you belong here. The sunlight outside is dazzling, but in this moment, the room feels cold, like all the windows have been frosted over. Nyala's hand tightens on her folder. The printout shakes just enough for her to notice, and she wills herself not to show it. She remembers what her grandmother always said, never give them the satisfaction. But she can feel the heat in her cheeks, the sharp metallic taste of humiliation in her mouth. Whitidge doesn't even bother to lower his voice. He holds her essay between two fingers as if it might stain him. He grins no, sneers, and flicks his wrist, sending the pages scattering across the surface of his desk. "Let's not play games," he says, his tone loud, gleeful, meant for every ear in the hall. "You expect me to believe you wrote this? I'm not stupid. People like you." He doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't have to. The laughter behind her is quick and mean. She knows the script. She's heard it before, in different voices, with different accents, in different rooms. Only the setting changes. She stares straight ahead, refusing to look away. Her jaw clenches so tight it aches. Every muscle in her body screams for her to shrink, to sit, to say nothing, to become invisible. She doesn't. Her essay is still on the desk, a careful 12-page deconstruction of the United States Constitution, complete with case law, legal references, and a bold, elegant thesis. The Founders' Promise, who did it exclude? She worked on it for weeks, sneaking into the library when her dorm mates were at parties, poring over the Federalist Papers, Supreme Court transcripts, critical race theory journals, legal treatises. Her mother's voice echoed in her head, "Make them see you, even when they pretend you're not there." Now, the only thing they see is a threat. The silence becomes unbearable. Whitridge's smile sharpens. "What's the matter? Cat got your tongue?" He lifts his eyes to the class, inviting them in. "Maybe someone wants to tell me how an 18-year-old from Oak Cliff pulls off an essay like this." He lets the word Oak Cliff linger, and a couple of students exchange smirks, nudging each other. She feels every stare like a mosquito bite. Nyala is used to being watched, but not like this, not the way a thief is watched. She knows if she speaks, her voice will betray her anger, pain, maybe even fear. So she stays silent, chin high, eyes level. That only makes it worse. "I'm sorry," Whitridge says finally, feigning sympathy, but his eyes are hard. "This is either plagiarized or someone wrote it for you. You can't possibly understand these legal concepts. You people," another pause as if he's teasing the word, "are good at basketball. Sure, maybe a little rap. Not constitutional law. I'll be forwarding this to the disciplinary committee." He claps his hands as if dismissing a pet. "That'll be all, Ms. Thomas." Something cracks open in the room. She sees it. One girl at the back looks away, almost ashamed, but most of them just look relieved it isn't them. Her best friend, Samira, sits frozen 2 rows back, her hand half raised but too late, and Nyala knows if she turns around, she'll see pity, not solidarity. As she gathers her things, a page from her essay falls to the floor. She bends to pick it up, hearing snickers. Someone whispers, "Damn, she's really crying." But she isn't. Her face is blank. Her mind is screaming. Outside, the Texas air hits her like a slap, hot and dry, and she walks fast across campus, each step a little harder than the last. She makes it to the bathroom before she allows herself a breath. Inside the stall, she finally lets her head rest against the metal wall. The room smells of bleach and loneliness. Her hands are shaking, not because she's afraid, but because she's furious. She remembers the late nights, the texts from her mother. "Don't let them see you break, baby." The promise she made to herself when she got the scholarship, "I'll show them. I'll show them all." But now it feels like the world is closing in, squeezing all the air out. Her phone buzzes. A text from Samira. "Naya, I'm so sorry. That was messed up. Want me to come?" She doesn't answer. She can't. Not yet. Instead, she sits on the closed toilet, clutching the essay to her chest, her own words suddenly feeling like evidence against her. She can see Whitridge's face in her mind, the certainty, the boredom, the complete lack of imagination. He never thought I could be smarter than him. He never even thought I could be equal. Her anger comes in waves, hot, then cold, then hot again. She thinks about her little brother, Malachi, back home, who dreams of being a lawyer because she told him he could. She thinks about her grandmother, who used to clean offices at night and would tell her stories about the way things were. She thinks about the history she carries in her blood, the weight and the beauty and the pain of it. She wipes her eyes and forces herself to stand. She looks in the mirror, eyes rimmed red but clear, mouth set in a hard line. "They want you to break," she whispers. "Don't let them." As she leaves the bathroom, she sees the posters on the wall, smiling faces. Diversity matters, inclusion now, and something bitter twists inside her. She walks past the student center, past the statue of the founder, slave owner, but you'd never know from the plaque, past the quad where people are already laughing, playing frisbee, acting like the world hasn't shifted on its axis. Her phone buzzes again. This time, it's an email. Subject: disciplinary hearing plagiarism accusation. You are required to appear before the committee this Friday at 2 p.m. A heaviness settles on her shoulders. She reads the words 3 times, then deletes the notification. She isn't surprised. As she heads back to her dorm, the Texas sky wide and cloudless overhead, a thought anchors itself deep inside her. Let them come. I'll fight every single one of them. I have nothing left to lose. And she walks on alone, but not defeated, her footsteps echoing like a challenge. The knock comes at 7:45 a.m. 3 sharp raps on the dorm room door that slice through the heavy quiet of Thursday morning. For a moment, Nyala wonders if she's dreamed it. Her roommate, Emily, groans and rolls over, pulling her pillow tighter, mumbling, "Tell them it's too early for whatever it is." But the pounding doesn't stop. Nyala drags herself out of bed, still half wrapped in her blanket, heart racing in that anxious way that's become familiar since yesterday's humiliation. She knows, even before she opens the door, that this isn't some friendly check-in. Outside stands a campus security officer, black uniform, clipboard in hand, expression so bland it's almost hostile. Next to him is Dr. Klein, the Dean of Academic Integrity, hair perfectly in place, glasses perched low on his nose. "Ms. Thomas," the dean says, barely looking up from his papers. "You'll need to come with us." Emily blinks, suddenly awake, sitting up in bed. "Is something wrong?" she asks, but her voice is small, uncertain. "It's not about you," the officer says, flat and practiced. "We just need to speak with your roommate." Nyala wants to ask why, wants to demand some dignity, but the words catch in her throat. She throws on yesterday's jeans and a hoodie, grabs her phone, and follows them down the hall, trying not to think about the way the other doors open and faces peer out, curiosity mixed with fear. "Walk tall," she tells herself. "Even when they're dragging you somewhere, you don't belong." They lead her through the quiet campus, past the statue and the oak trees, past students heading to class, some of them glancing over at her, some deliberately looking away. She wonders if they've heard. She wonders if they care. Inside the administration building, everything smells like lemon polish and old carpet. There's a chill in the air, the kind that makes her wish for her mother's warmth, for her grandmother's humming, for any reminder that the world can be soft. She's ushered into a sterile conference room, windowless, fluorescent lights flickering, table too large for the 3 people who now file in behind her. Dean Klein, Officer Daniels, and, to her surprise, Professor Whitridge himself. He looks different in daylight, less intimidating, but his eyes are cold. "Ms. Thomas," the dean says, folding his hands neatly on the table, "we're here to discuss allegations of academic misconduct. Specifically, your essay submitted for American constitutional law." Whitridge's lip curls as if he's smelling something rotten. "It's obvious," he says, addressing the dean but never once looking at Nyala. "Her writing style doesn't match her previous assignments. There are legal references here that most first-year law students wouldn't know. She can't even explain the historical context." "I can," Nyala interrupts, the words escaping before she can stop them. For a split second, silence reigns. Then Whitridge barks a humorless laugh. "Excuse me? You have the floor, Ms. Thomas." She feels every eye in the room on her, but she lifts her chin and, voice steady, starts, "I used Supreme Court cases to demonstrate that the original Constitution, while visionary, deliberately excluded black people, indigenous people, women, and anyone who wasn't a white landowner. For instance, The 3/5 compromise. Whitridge raises a hand, slicing the air. Enough. Anyone can memorize Wikipedia, Ms. Thomas. The dean frowns, perhaps sensing the shift in the room. Let's be precise, Professor. Ms. Thomas, do you have notes or drafts to support your authorship of this essay? Nayala blinks. For a moment, she panics. Her notes are everywhere, some on paper, some on her phone, some in library notebooks she borrowed and returned, sticky notes scattered through 3 different textbooks. But she nods. Yes, I can gather them. Today, the dean says, we'll need to see them before your hearing tomorrow, and you are not to speak to anyone about this case until then. Do you understand? She nods, her mouth dry. Good, Whitridge says, rising. You'll see this will be sorted out quickly. The meeting ends as abruptly as it began. Nayala's left standing in the cold hallway, hands shaking. For a moment she wants to scream, to punch the wall, to curl up and disappear. Instead, she presses her hands together, counts to 5, and breathes. The rest of the day moves in slow motion. She skips breakfast, drags herself through her classes, ignores the texts piling up on her phone. By noon, the rumors have started. In the library, 2 girls at the next table glance her way and whisper, not bothering to lower their voices. That's her. The girl Whitridge caught didn't think she was that smart. Maybe she just got lucky, or maybe, her boyfriend's pre-law. Nayala stares at the spine of her textbook until the words blur. She wants to scream at them. I wrote every damn word myself. But what would be the point? At lunch, Samira finds her in the quad. You have to fight this, she says, voice trembling with anger. They can't just... They can, Nayala cuts in. And they will. And if I push too hard, it'll just prove what they already think. Samira's eyes flash. And what is that exactly? That I don't know my place. She laughs, but there's no humor in it. That I'm an imposter. That I got in on a scholarship because of my skin, not my brain. Samira grabs her hand, squeezing tight. You're the smartest person I know. They're scared of you, Naya. That's why they're doing this. A lump rises in Nayala's throat. For a moment, she wants to believe it. But when she walks into her next class, Professor Whitridge is there, sitting in for another professor. The room is full, but every seat feels cold. As soon as she walks in, Whitridge stops his lecture. Ms. Thomas, he calls out, glad you could join us. I trust you'll be paying close attention unless you have somewhere else you need to be. A snicker ripples through the class. Nayala stares at him, her face carefully blank. He launches into a discussion of the 14th Amendment. Equal protection under the law, he says, glancing at her, except, of course, when some people think the law doesn't apply to them. The implication is clear. For the next hour, he calls on her 3 times, asking loaded questions, testing her, waiting for her to stumble. Each time, she answers clearly, calmly, refusing to give him the reaction he wants. But she can feel it, the tension in the room, the judgment, the calculation. Even her classmates, some of whom nodded to her in the dining hall, some of whom texted her, hang in there, that morning are watching her now with new eyes. The air is heavy with something poisonous. After class, as students pack up, Whitridge corners her by the door. A word, Ms. Thomas. She stands her ground, refusing to look away. He lowers his voice, but there's venom in it. If you just admit it now, this will go much easier for you. The committee always prefers students who show remorse. Otherwise, he lets the threat dangle. She squares her shoulders. I didn't do anything wrong. I wrote that essay. He smirks. You people always say that. A spark flares inside her, rage, humiliation, the urge to scream in his face. But she says nothing, lets him walk away, lets him feel like he's won. By nightfall, the world feels smaller, darker. She sits at her tiny desk, notes and books spread everywhere, trying to assemble the proof they've demanded. Each sticky note, each highlighted passage, is a piece of her life, a quiet, relentless journey no one else in this place could imagine. Her mother calls, but Nayala doesn't answer. She can't. Not yet. Instead, she reads over her essay again and again, remembering every sleepless night, every time she doubted herself, every time she forced herself to go 1 page further. When she closes her eyes, memories rise up. She's 8 years old, sitting on her grandmother's porch, reading To Kill a Mockingbird aloud, stumbling over the legal words, feeling grown. Her grandmother, all laughter and sharp wit, correcting her, making her repeat equity and jurisprudence until she gets it right. She's 13, arguing with her history teacher about the Civil Rights Act. It didn't fix everything, she says, voice shaking. It just started something. The teacher laughs, pats her head, tells her she's so passionate, so articulate, like it's a compliment. She's 16, standing in front of the scholarship committee, reciting her dreams law, justice, a world where nobody has to feel small. She remembers the way they smiled, the way they glanced at each other, the way one of them whispered, "She'll have to be twice as good." And now, at 18, she's here, facing the same wall of doubt. She presses her hands to her temples, breathing slow, refusing to cry. Friday morning. The hearing. She sits alone in the hallway outside the disciplinary committee's office, notes and essay clutched to her chest. Her stomach is in knots, mouth dry, but her mind is sharp, hyper-aware, every sense dialed up to 11. She can hear the sound of heels on the linoleum, the buzz of a fluorescent light, the low murmur of voices behind the door. The waiting is agony. Every minute feels like a test. Finally, the door opens. Dean Klein appears, expression unreadable. "We're ready for you, Ms. Thomas." She stands, squares her shoulders, walks inside. The room is stark. A long table, 3 faculty members, Dean Klein, Professor Whitridge, and Dr. Herrera, a Latina professor from the political science department who nods at her, eyes gentle but wary. There's also a student representative, a white girl from the Student Honor Council, looking down at her laptop. They ask her to sit. She does. "Ms. Thomas," Klein begins, "you are here to respond to accusations of academic dishonesty. Please tell us, in your own words, how you completed your essay." She takes a deep breath and begins. How she started her research, how she checked out stacks of books from the library, how she worked with her debate coach to learn legal citations, how she drafted and redrafted, referencing landmark cases Dred Scott, Plessy v. Ferguson, Brown vs. Board, Shelby County vs. Holder. As she speaks, she sees Whitridge's eyes narrow, his foot tapping, impatience or frustration she can't tell. She presents her notes, emails to herself with subject lines like Constitution Notes 1 a.m., sticky notes with scrawled thoughts, screenshots of highlighted ebooks. She offers up her process, her logic, her passion. Her voice trembles at first, but as she talks, it grows stronger, steadier. She glances at Dr. Herrera, who's watching her closely, nodding ever so slightly. When she's done, there's a long silence. Whitridge is the first to break it. "If I may," he says, turning to the others, "this is all well and good, but there are passages in this essay that frankly are beyond a freshman's capabilities. The depth of legal understanding, the complexity of the argument." "Doctor?" Herrera interrupts. "Professor Whitridge, have you seen her debate records, her previous essays? She's top of her class." He shrugs. "Even so, it's too advanced. I checked her night and myself, nothing came up, but that doesn't mean—" The student representative speaks up, voice small. "She's got a point-by-point citation log. That's more than most students bring to these hearings." Dean Klein leans forward, fingers steepled. "Ms. Thomas, is there any reason to believe someone helped you, wrote it for you?" Nyala shakes her head, her jaw set. "Number. I wrote every word myself. I'd swear it on anything you want." Whitridge sighs. "That's what they all say." A pause. The air thickens. For a moment, Nyala thinks she might actually win, then the dean says, "We'll deliberate. You'll be notified of our decision in 24 hours. Dismissed. Back in her dorm, Nyala collapses onto her bed, exhaustion finally catching up to her. Her phone buzzes with texts her mother, Samira, classmates, but she ignores them all. She stares at the ceiling, replaying every moment, every word, every look. Doubt creeps in. Maybe she did mess up somewhere. Maybe she should have kept her head down. She remembers her grandmother's words. "The world will try to make you feel small. Don't let it. She won't." Night falls. She dreams of courtrooms and judges, of voices shouting, of essays torn in half, of her brother watching her from the audience, eyes wide, afraid. She wakes before dawn, heart pounding. Saturday. The email comes at 6:15 a.m. Subject: academic misconduct ruling. Her hands shake as she clicks it open. Ms. Thomas, after review of all submitted materials, The committee finds that your essay is inconsistent with previous work and demonstrates knowledge outside expected parameters for a student of your experience. While we cannot prove plagiarism, we are recommending academic probation pending further review. You will be suspended from all extracurricular activities, including debate team, effective immediately. She stares at the screen, numb. The words make no sense, inconsistent with previous work. Outside expected parameters, academic probation. It's a verdict without evidence, a punishment without proof. She slams her laptop shut, a scream building in her chest. She wants to throw something, to break something, to run until she can't breathe. Instead, she grabs her coat and heads out of the dorm, across the empty campus into the cold morning air. She walks, faster and faster, past the old brick buildings, past the rows of cars, past the track where the football team practices at dawn. Her breath comes in clouds, her feet ache, but she keeps moving. She thinks about quitting, about leaving, about how easy it would be to just disappear, to let them win. But then she remembers her mother, cleaning houses to pay for her books, her grandmother, walking miles to cast her first vote, her brother, who tells everyone at school, "My sister's going to change the world." She won't let them down. Monday morning. Word has spread. In the dining hall, students stare at her openly. Someone posts a meme on the anonymous message board. Why try when you can just copy? Underneath, comments pile up. Affirmative action strikes again. She should be expelled. We all know who gets the real advantages. Nyala feels the stares, the whispers, the judgment. She eats alone, headphones in, trying to block it all out, but the worst comes in class. Whitridge, smug, calls on her repeatedly, each question a trap. She answers anyway, every answer correct, every argument sharp. But nothing she says matters. She sees it in his eyes. You'll never belong here. After class, he corners her again. You know, he says, almost kindly, there's no shame in admitting you needed help. We all need help sometimes. Just not the kind that gets you expelled. She turns to him, anger finally boiling over. I did the work. You just can't imagine someone like me could be better than you. His smile fades, just for a second. You should know your place, Miss Thomas. That's all I'm saying. She squares her shoulders, steps closer. I do know my place. It's right here, and I'm not going anywhere. That night, something breaks inside her. She can't sleep. She can't eat. She can't breathe in this air anymore. She sits at her desk, opens her laptop, and begins to write not an essay, but a letter. To the university president, to the board of trustees, to every law journal editor she can find online. She includes her essay, her notes, her process, her story. I am Nyala Thomas. I'm a first-year student at this university. I've been accused of plagiarism for producing work too advanced for someone like me. I invite anyone, professor, judge, or journalist, to read my work, to question me, to test me. I will defend my ideas, my words, my right to belong. She sends the emails just before sunrise. Then, for the first time in days, she sleeps. It starts with a single notification on Nyala's phone at 7:14 a.m. Subject: Inquiry regarding your essay, Harvard Law Journal. She sits up in bed, squinting at the screen, unsure if she's dreaming. But the email is real. It's signed by the assistant editor of the most prestigious law journal in the country. They write that her essay, forwarded by a concerned faculty member, has sparked significant conversation. Would she be willing to speak to them, to answer questions, to consider publication? Nyala's hands shake as she reads it twice, 3 times, heart pounding. For a moment she can't move. Then she laughs, a wild, incredulous sound, half relief, half disbelief. Her phone buzzes again. This time, it's a Twitter notification. At Harvard Law Journal. Sometimes the sharpest minds are the most doubted. Stay tuned. By the time she reaches for her laptop, her inbox is overflowing. Journalists, law students, even strangers, some cheering, some angry, all demanding a piece of her story. It only takes a few hours for the campus to ignite. The anonymous message boards erupt, some sneering, some apologizing. Her classmates start whispering not about her scandal, but about the girl whose words have traveled farther than any of them could dream. But Nyala doesn't care about the gossip. She cares about the truth. She cares about her name. The first person to find her that morning is Samira, breathless and beaming, waving her phone in the air. "You did it," she gasps, half laughing, half crying. "Naya, you actually did it! Harvard!" Nayala grins, but there are tears in her eyes. "I just wanted them to listen," she says, "just once." At noon, a campus forum explodes. Screenshots from a black professor in the law department go viral. He posts undeniable proof screenshots from Turnitin with timestamps and submission histories, every claim of plagiarism shattered in public. "This young woman's work is original," he writes. "The only thing she's guilty of is outthinking everyone who doubted her." That's when the apology emails start arriving. Some are formal, stiff, some are desperate, but the most public comes from Professor Whitridge himself. He stands in the center of the quad, surrounded by news cameras and curious students, his face drawn and pale. His voice shakes as he speaks, reading from a prepared statement. "In my position, I should have fostered talent, not suspicion. I apologize for my conduct and for questioning Ms. Thomas's integrity. I am requesting a leave of absence while the university reviews my actions." For a moment, all is silent. Then, as the cameras flash, Whitridge looks for Nayala in the crowd, searching for forgiveness. He finally finds her standing at the edge, arms crossed, face calm but unyielding. He steps closer, voice trembling. "Ms. Thomas, I hope you can forgive." But Nayala cuts him off, her voice clear, ringing through the quiet. "You taught us to be silent," she says, every word sharp. "Now you'll listen to what truth sounds like." The crowd holds its breath. Whitridge's apology hangs in the air, limp and powerless. Samira slips her hand into Nayala's, squeezing tight. The sun catches on the edge of her notebook, her words no longer a source of shame, but of power. By sunset, news vans line the street. Her mother calls crying, laughing, proud all at once. "You showed them, baby," she whispers. "You showed them who you are." The president of Harvard emails personally, inviting her to submit her essay for publication. "Your work is extraordinary," the letter reads. "And your story is precisely what the law should protect: courage, intellect, and truth." That night, for the first time in days, Nayala walks through campus not as an outsider, not as a suspect, but as herself, unapologetic, unafraid. A few classmates approach, offering sheepish smiles, hesitant apologies. Some are too ashamed to meet her gaze, but it doesn't matter. She doesn't need their approval. She has her words, her name, her future. Under the wide Texas sky, she lifts her head, feeling the weight on her shoulders melt away. She remembers every insult, every doubt, every moment she wanted to give up, and she realizes none of it could break her. Not really. The truth is louder than any accusation, brighter than any shadow. As she reaches the steps of her dorm, she turns for one last look at the campus that tried so hard to make her invisible. Then she smiles and walks inside, her story just beginning.